Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare 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 Rama, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare
What else? Yeah. Samsaradavana Lokatranaya Karunya Ganaghanatvam Praptasya Kalyana Gunarnavasya Vande Guruho Sri Charanarvindam. I grew up in Southern California, and every summer in Southern California, there are wildfires that burn down, it seems like half the state. It's a natural part of the Southern California ecosystem. Of course, it's exacerbated by Kali Yuga because generally people who live in Los Angeles are accepted to be insane. And so there's enough of them who go out and set fires deliberately. Even some people suspect that they did that last year. And it came up to about, what, maybe $23 billion, I think was the last figure that I heard. All the movie stars lost their homes in Malibu. No insurance company is ready to pay $23 billion. But this, I've seen it before. The whole sky turns orange. Once when I was at my mother's house, I saw orange sky and everything smells like smoke. Like this gentleman's quartet in the back. That was the color of the sky. Worse than mine. And smelling smoke also very dangerous. People going around with masks. This is before COVID. So therefore, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur chooses this metaphor to dilate on. He says this whole world is like that. Samsara davana laliha, and the people are oppressed by this blazing forest fire of material existence. Tranaya karunya khana khanatvam. And in order to deliver them, the Lord's mercy takes the form of rain clouds. Because in California, every summer, they have to call in fire departments from the whole western half of the United States just to deal with this natural phenomenon, what to speak of when it's unnatural. And they still have trouble. And now, because of global warming, that means your automobile and others, that the thing is getting worse. So it's not just in Southern California anymore. It's in Northern California, it's in Oregon, it's in Washington and Canada, whole western half of North America. And people are suffering as a result of this, but actually the whole world is like that. And just as the fire departments struggle to put out these blazes, and even then it takes them weeks, we read the news, we hear about it. So in the same way, nobody can really do anything about these fires. They go out when they're done. I used to meditate on this. It seems like because in Kali Yuga, nobody's doing any yajna for any demigods. Used to be that they would offer things into the fire, and nobody's offering anything into the fire anymore. So the fire comes and eats whatever it wants. Agni Deva ki jai. So praptasya kalyana gunarnavasya. Where do these clouds come from? Where do they get the water from? Even the plains. They went out over the Pacific Ocean. They scoop up large tanks of ocean water, salt water, and they dump it on the fires in Malibu, and even then it couldn't do anything. So you should guess now where the water comes from. Where does rainwater come from? Yeah, sometimes it comes from the snow melt or from the ground spring, but in general it comes from clouds, kana. And so the mercy of Krishna is compared to the clouds that are formed out of the ocean. And what kind of ocean is this? Kalyana Gunarnava, the ocean of auspicious qualities, that is Krishna. So the spiritual master is like a cloud. He's pulling mercy and Krishna consciousness from the ocean of auspiciousness that is Lord Krishna. And he's taking that mercy, distilled mercy, and he's distributing it freely on anyone and everyone he meets. Jare dekhe tare kaha. And in this way, Vande Guroho Sri Charanarvindam, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur offers his respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. Our only friend in this world, Mareka Bandho Mat Sangin Mad Guru Mad Mahatana, Mannistaraka Bhagyam Te. So then, how does he disseminate this mercy? Mahaprabho Kirtana Nritya Gita Varitramadyan Manasorasena Romansha Kampashruta Ranga Bhajo Vande Guroho Sri Charanarvindam. He's chanting Mahaprabho Kirtana. What is Mahaprabho Kirtan? It's a special kind of Kirtan. We all know Kirtan, even some Kirtan we know. But the Kirtan that is performed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, it's unlike anything else. How do we know this? What's an example that demonstrates the specialty of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Kirtan? From Chaitanya Charitamrita. Somebody witnessed this. Who was it? Prataparudra Maharaj, the descendant of the present-day Gajapati of Orissa, Divya Singh Dev Maharaj. Yeah, it's really cold. Are you feeling it also? Because I'm going to start sniffing and sneezing in a few minutes. I can't handle it. Yeah. Thank you. It's much appreciated. There's an Arctic blast coming right on my head. America has too many options, isn't it? Yeah. Right hand side, Baba. Yeah, now right hand side, go ahead, huh? Okay, problem solved. Thank you. Good. Okay, recess is adjourned now. Let's get back to class. Where were we? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Kirtan. And the Prataparudra Maharaj saw this Kirtan and he was astonished. I've never seen people performing Kirtan like this. The dancing in ecstasy, singing, playing musical instruments. Mahaprabhu Kirtana. This is something that was modified by Srila Narottam Das Thakur, and it comes down to us even in the present day as Padavali Kirtan, we call it, Garanhati Kirtan. And this is what Srila Prabhupada sang. It's also what Srila Prabhupada taught. It's not what you will find 90% of the time. I hate to say it. Traditional Kirtan has gone well in the same direction as all other things that are traditional in 2025. But Here he's talking about this kind of kirtan. And even Bhaktivinoda Thakur also glorifies this special Padavali style of kirtan. Gaura Kirtana Bihiti Shuni Ananda Hriday Nache. When I hear this kind of kirtan that was approved of by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, my heart dances in ecstasy. What are they playing? Kirtana, Nritya, Gita, Vaditra, Madhyan Manasa. Their minds are crazed with it, with the rasa of this kirtan, with the sound of the musical instruments, with the songs that they sing, with the dancing, the holy names. Romancha Kampa Ashru Taranga Bhajo. And they indulge, you can say, in the waves of their tears and their trembling and their standing of hairs on end. This is the pure devotees. They feel these symptoms. From time to time, Srila Prabhupada also exhibited such symptoms. So this is his example, and we find even in Narottam Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur glorifies Narottam Das Thakur in a similar way, that when he was dancing in ecstasy, his teeth were shining like the moons, a mouthful of moons. And yes, people were seeing his ecstasy and being purified by that darshan. So this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's kirtan. It's the primary characteristic. We have photos of Srila Prabhupada dancing in kirtan like this, exhibiting ecstasy like this. And some fortunate few who were with Srila Prabhupada from time to time, they also experienced this. We mentioned this the other day. Was it here or was it in Charlotte? Did I mention Caracas, Venezuela, 1975? Okay, so Shruta Kirti Prabhu is my neighbor in Vrindavan, and he was Prabhupada's personal secretary. So he's very often telling these stories from his own personal portfolio of experience. When they went from America to Venezuela, of all places, not many people are going to Caracas, Venezuela nowadays, correct? Anybody got plans to spend your vacation in Caracas, Venezuela? No, I don't think so. You might as well go to, I think, what are some of my favorite destinations? Pyongyang, or maybe Islamabad. Anybody planning to go there? That's not the kind of place where you can indulge in Mahaprabhu Kirtan very easily in public. Anyway, so Prabhupada came to Caracas, Venezuela. In those days, it was a different place. And what did he find in the ISKCON temple there? He found it to be filled with South American devotees. Srila Prabhupada ki. Who made those devotees? Srila Prabhupada made them all devotees. Tamal Krishna Goswami told me that if you're not satisfied with your association, that you have some Vaishnava association, but you find that it doesn't fit your spiritual needs, or you're finding some flaw there or some shortcoming, you have three options to do something about it, and you should definitely do something about it. You should do something. So the first option is learn how to better appreciate the association that Krishna has placed you in, because not a blade of grass waves in the wind without Krishna's sanction. There's a reason that you're surrounded by the people that you're surrounded by. They have something to teach you. Are you willing to learn? And even if you feel they don't have anything to teach you, if you dig deep enough, you can always find jewels in someone else's heart, because everybody is here for the same reason. We've been attracted by Krishna. So what's attracting you about Krishna? Why don't you want to know what is driving the person next to you crazy about Krishna? Why don't you want to know that? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants to know it. Very badly, he comes to this world to chase each of us down and find out. Anutavat, this is the word used in Srimad Bhagavatam. You know the verse? 11th canto. Tyaktva sadusjaja surepsitam anvadhavat. Rajya Lakshmi dharmishta arjavata sad yadagararanyam maya mrigam dayite yepsitam anuvadhavat. That thing that is desired by him, ipsita, he's chasing after that. Maya Mrigam Dayita, to show mercy on those who are like playthings in the hands of Maya. That's what we've forfeited our independence in this world. We've handed over all the keys to Maya Devi, and she's just doing whatever she wants with us. And what is she in the picture? What's she doing? You tell me. She's riding on top of a tiger. What's she holding in her hand? Trishula. What does that Trishula represent? Three modes, somebody says. Anything else possible? Tapatraya, Baba. Adhyatmic Klesh, Davic Klesh, Adipautic Klesh. And who is she pinching with those kleshas? Us. Her worshippers, yes. This is called tough love. She's not mean. She's not being bad. She is carrying out a thankless task. Parents, pay attention. You've got young children. What do you do with them when they're too mischief, too much naughty? What do you do with them? You find an uncle who's very strict, or an auntie who's very strict, and you turn them over to that person. That way, you don't have to destroy your own relationship. Proxy, proxy discipline. So this is what Krishna does. And he tells Arjuna, Yatechasita Thakuru, I'm not going to force you, Arjuna. You can make your choice. But you should understand two things. If you surrender unto me, then you will enjoy ever increasing loving reciprocations, mellows of devotional service for the rest of eternity, no more death. And that's full of Satchidananda. If you choose not to do that, it is your choice. It's a choice that I've invested in you. It's forever your birthright, as it were. But you should understand that if you make that bad decision, I'm going to have to turn you over to Maya. And Maya is going to beat the daylights out of you until you're black and blue. So, as they say in India, that you turn someone into chutney. This is what Maya does to us in this world. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is coming, and he's disseminating this love of God all over the globe, like a tidal wave. His love is so intense and so voluminous. It's like a massive tsunami of divine affection. And nobody is spared from the Prema Mahajala. What does that mean? Prema Mahajala. It's in Chaitanya Charitamrita. The great net of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's love. He's chasing everybody down in this world, out of love only, to bring us back to our senses, to wake us up and say, hey, join this kirtan and dive into these waves instead of the waves of Maya, or the waves of material miseries, or the ocean of material existence. You know what Prabhupada says about the ocean of the material existence in Canto 4, in one purport? What does this ocean of material existence consist of? It's liquid. Every ocean is liquid. So what is this liquid in the ocean of material existence? Yeah. All the tears. I'm not going to ask for a show of hands how many people here have ever cried. Of course you've cried. Every one of us. We've suffered. Like anything we've suffered. Even we can't remember it now, or maybe we can. But this is the ocean of material existence, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of his causeless mercy, he doesn't have to come and chase us down. When does the master chase after the servant? Only if there's a strong affection there. So this is what he comes for. And he doesn't even directly come himself, but he sends these devotees like Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada came into Caracas, Venezuela, and he saw all these South American Vaishnavas with Gaudiya Tilak, and they're all chanting Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nritya Gita Varitpramadyan Marasa. This is how they are. And Prabhupada was stunned with this ecstasy. He looks on the altar, he sees Gaur Nitai like this, and he looks in the temple room, he sees it full of Latin American Vaishnavas. And tears shot from Prabhupada's eyes as if from a pitchkari, unholy. They shot out from his eyes. Shruta Kirti told me, he said, I was 6 feet away from Prabhupada and I got wet. Raise your hand if you've ever seen that kind of love in this world. Raise your hand if you don't believe that this happened. But it did. Devotees saw this. So this kind of love Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is coming to disseminate, and he's doing it through Mahaprabhu Kirtana. And Srila Prabhupada has given us that process. We're all chanting here tonight these prayers only to glorify his divine grace. Kiski divine grace? Who's divine grace? Krishna's divine grace. Praptasya kalyana gunarnavasya vande guroho. Sri Charanarvindam. These lotus feet are coming from him. Shri Vigraharathan Nityanana Shringaratan Mandira Marjnadao Yuktasya Bhaktam Shanyunjatopi Vande Guroho Shri Charanarvindam. He's engaged in the worship of Sri Sri Radha Krishna. And what kind of worship? Daily worship, Nitya. Nitya Nana Shringara. He's all every day is giving a different dress, trying to decorate the Lord in so many newer ways. Tad Mandira Marjanado. And deity worship is not complete without cleanup. You have to clean it up. You have to wash the temple and do everything. Yuktasya bhaktam shayunjatopi, and he's engaging his disciples in such worship. When we worship the deity in the temple, or even at home, this is not our worship. We're actually only assisting our spiritual master in his worship. He's the devotee. He's the real devotee. We're just probate devotees. Or, what's another way to put it? Apprentice devotees. We're learning how to be devotees. Maybe someday we can be pure devotees also, but not without his mercy. And that's why we pray, Vande Guroho Shri Charanarvindam. Now here's everybody's favorite part. Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavat Prasado Swadvanna Triptan Hari Bhakta Sanghan. Whole groups of Vaishnavas he sees, they're happily taking prasadam. And what does he feel? Triptam. He feels happy. Tripti. Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavat Prasada. What is this Chaturvidha Bhagavat Prasadam? 4 kinds. You drink it, you chew it, you savor it, or you lick it. Yeah. Chaturvidha. Swadvanna, the best, most tasty things. Triptan Hari Bhakti Sang. He's not happy by eating all these things necessarily, because half the time he doesn't eat. And he wants to see Krishna's happy eating, and he wants to see that Krishna's devotees are happily eating prasadam. This is his selfless love. Like parents. Kritvaiva triptim bhajatas sadaiva. He's always engaged in worshiping in this way, and he always feels happiness from this. Vande Guroho Shri Charanarvindam. It's getting deeper and deeper. What comes next? Shri Radhika Madhava Yodapada Madhurya Lila Guna Rupa Nam Nam Pratikshana Svadana Lolupasya. He's like a greedy bumblebee, Lolupa. Bumblebees. This Braj poet Surdas, he's written a very beautiful song in which Krishna is starting to feel a little bit tired at night. And when children start falling asleep, when they get tired, what do you see about them? It's hard for them to keep their eyes open. They get a little bit cranky. And you know when they have to sleep. Every mother knows, right? You can tell. So Krishna gets like this, and Krishna is getting a little bit woozy. So she puts him to bed. And the Lord's chest is rising and falling as he's sound asleep. With each breath that he takes, his stomach goes up and his stomach comes down. And Lord Brahma is sitting on top of a lotus flower coming out of that navel. And every time he's going up and down, and he's thinking that my life is like Kamala Dala Jala Jivana Talamala. What's going to happen to me? So Krishna is like this in the nighttime. Now, another very poetic way that Surdas describes this is that when Krishna gets tired at night and his little lotus eyes start to close, what do his pupils look like? They look like two black little bumblebees who are trapped in the closing petals of a day-blooming lotus. Because lotus flowers open up in the daytime, and when the sun sets, they close up. Sometimes when the lotus petal closes up, the little bees get trapped inside, and they have to spend the night there. And what are they eating? Kinjalka, the powder from the middle of the lotus flower. So then they're fully intoxicated all night. And then when the sun rises in the morning, the lotus flowers gradually open. And what happens with the little bees? They come flying out. But Krishna himself has lotus eyes that are like this. Krishna himself is sometimes also compared to one of these bees. Why? Why is Krishna compared to a bee? Huh?
Complexion.
Not you. Everyone here some new people. Very good. Yeah, who describes this? Yes. What is the line, you know? Mudabhiri nari vadana kamala svada madhupa. He's like a bumblebee drinking one lotus face after another. The bees are not stable, right? This is why Krishna is also compared to a bumblebee. In fact, at Radharaman, if you go to the Radharaman temple in Vrindavan, sometimes they dress him like a bumblebee. He's got little antennae here, he's got little wings there, and he's got black and yellow stripes outfit. He's absolutely adorable in that outfit, completely enchanting. So, Muda Abhiri Nadi Vadana Kamala. He sees the lotus faces of not just Srimati Radharani, because after all, you know, Anandam Buddhivartanam, he's going everywhere. So he's like a bumblebee who's very greedy to taste the nectar of these lotus-like faces of all these gopis in Vrindavan. Otherwise, when the lotus flower opens up, and then the bees come out again, and everybody's happy. But the spiritual master is compared to one of these bees because what is he doing? He's tasting again and again the sweet pastimes of Sri Sri Radha Madhava, and also their leelas, and also their qualities, and also their different forms and their different names. Pratikshara. Every moment he's relishing these things. Asvadana lolupa, as a bumblebee who relishes these. Now, how many of these leelas and gunas and rupas and namas are there? How many? Apara, apara. Just like Gopala Sahasranama in the Sammohana Tantra says, apara kuruna sindhu. Bhagavan Bhakta Tatparaha. He's ever devoted to his service. And he's an infinite, limitless ocean of mercy. You found it, I think, right? You went and looked it up. He himself is a bumblebee.
Yeah, like wings and.
Yeah, little wings. And now I think they made one even in Mayapur for Radha Madhava, the Chota. I believe so, yeah. Okay, so Pratikshana Svadana Lulupasya Vande Guroho Sri Charanaravinda. This is a bona fide spiritual master. He loves Krishna, only love. Nikunja yuno radikeri sithe ya yalibhir yukti rapekshaniya tatrati dakshyarati vallabhasya vande guroho Sri Charanaravinda. This means that the spiritual master is very dear because he's expert in assisting the gopis. These gopis at different times make different tasteful arrangements for the perfection of Radha and Krishna's conjugal loving affairs within the groves of Vrindavan. One time, my godbrother had an insight into this verse, Rameshwar, and he came to ask his spiritual master, whenever we experience something or get what we feel is a realization in spiritual life, we have to go to the spiritual master to confirm. Am I okay? Am I off task? Am I on track? How am I doing? Is this bona fide? What is the status? So Rameshwar came to Srila Prabhupada and said that, I think that just as these gopis in Goloka, or even in Gokula, they're assisting Srimati Radharani and her friends in Radha and Krishna's conjugal affairs. So I think that when we go on Sankirtana and distribute books to these conditioned souls, we're maybe a few steps removed, but we're performing the same function. Is it not a fact? And Prabhupada said, yes, you have correctly realized the significance of what we're engaged in. People who think that Vrindavan life is something different than Sankirtana, they are absolutely befooled. They don't know what they're talking about. If you can't see Krishna's pastimes in the orders of your spiritual master, you're never going to see them. Do you know why? Because Sri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma. Only place where bhakti resides, my friend. Sadma ka matlab kya hai, sadma? Sadma kya hai? Sadma. A building, right? Like we're sitting in a sadma right now, house. The only house wherein bhakti resides is two lotus feet of the spiritual master. So his instructions are the summum bonum, and you have to be able to see that. If you have been given mercy by Krishna and Guru Varanga, then you will be able to appreciate the unique and profound depth of the orders of the spiritual master, of your service to the spiritual master, even if it seems mundane to you, but it's never so. Simply you have to refine your vision and be able to appreciate what's really going on. Radhanath Swami, anyone have any disciples of Radhanath Swami in our presence? Probably, they're all over the place. So you've heard your spiritual master very often. What does he talk about? Gratitude. Gratitude is such a thing. We have to learn how to appreciate everything that we've been given. That's why Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur wrote these 8 prayers, just to wake us up to the reality of who is our spiritual master. What are we doing? We have to know these things. So this is the significance. The gopis are assisting the Sakhis or the Manjaris and the Sakhis and Srimati Radharani in giving pleasure to the Lord in the spiritual world, especially for those who are in Madhurya Rasa. And similarly, the spiritual master is assisting in that same service. There's no difference. It's the same thing. Okay. Sakshat Dharitvena Samasta Shastrayuktastatha Bhavyate Eva Sadbhihi Kintu Prabho Yapriya Eva Tasya Vande Guroho Shri Charananavindam. He brings us back to the platform of theology. Theology. What is the theology of the spiritual master? Sakshat Hari. Raise your hand if your spiritual master is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, we have an ISKCON audience here. Everybody's well trained. You cannot escape this teaching in Srila Prabhupada's books. Every page, he makes it very clear. Nobody ever becomes God here. Okay? Firbi. Sakshat Haritvena Samasta Shastraya. With the understanding that the spiritual master is not different from the Lord, as per all the Shastras, and Uktas Tadha Bhavyata Eva Sadbhi, and this principle being respected by all the sadhus also, we should worship the spiritual master as if he were God. One time, I think it was in maybe Philadelphia or somewhere here in America, Srila Prabhupada arrived for some press conference or something, and he came in a very well-appointed Rolls Royce. Actually, he didn't do that so often, but sometimes he did. The devotees, out of their own devotion, he never requested such things, but the devotees, out of their own Krishna consciousness, they decided that Srila Prabhupada was worth the expense of renting a Rolls Royce. So that's what they did. Now, the reporter, with absolutely no idea of Krishna consciousness, she was interviewing Prabhupada, and the first thing she said was, I noticed that you came up in a very expensive Rolls-Royce car. How do you explain that if you're a self-realized spiritual master detached from all the things of this world? Anybody know what Prabhupada did? How do he explain this in that occasion? Prabhupada said, well, this is the best that they can do. It should be gold, yes, but it's, even though it's not 24 karat gold car, I still accept it out of my cosmic mercy. And then he actually was merciful and explained it in terms that she could understand. He said, the spiritual master is acting as the representative of God, therefore he should be treated with all the respect that we give to God. Just like when the viceroy comes, we don't really have monarchs anymore, but let's say the foreign minister, S.J. Shankar, let's say, if he comes to America, you're going to give him all the respect that you would give to Narendra Modi, no? So this is the idea. The government representative has to be treated, it's understood, he is the government, practically speaking. De facto, he is the government, even though he is not the government. But he's treated like the government. Sometimes we even say this, you know, Islamabad was very upset at the Operation Sindoor. Now, a city does not become upset about anything because the city is not conscious. But we speak like this, right? Islamabad represents the entire government of Pakistan. Just an example. Nothing against Pakistan. But so in the same way, the spiritual master is to be considered Sakshat Hari. Even though he's not the Supreme Personality of God, definitely not. He's only a dwell. Kintu prabhorya priya eva tasya. This is why he gets the last line in this shloka. Kintu, but prabhorya priya eva tasya. He is that person who is the most dear to Prabhu, to the Lord. Vande Guroho Shri Charanavindam. Therefore, we offer our respectful obeisances unto his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada was so funny. He apologized on behalf of his disciples that they could not afford a solid gold car. He had a lot of fun with these reporters from time to time. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado. When the spiritual master is pleased and gives mercy, it is understood that the Supreme Lord is pleased and has given mercy through his representative. Same principle extended, practically. Have to bring it down to earth. In your life, how does this work for you? You want mercy from Krishna? You get mercy from bona fide spiritual master. Bona fide spiritual master. So, yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado. Now, on the other hand, yasya aprasadat nagati kutopi. How are you going to attain your goal if you displease the spiritual master? It's like we said, he's representing Krishna. So if he gives you his mercy, it's understood that Krishna has given you his mercy. If he's not happy with what you've done, then God help you. So we have to be very careful with such a bona fide spiritual master as well. I can tell you a story about Srila Prabhupada's mercy. One of my godbrothers, his name was Hanuman. Very sincere servant, but maybe not so, well, I don't want to say anything, but not so discriminating, perhaps we can put it that way. So Srila Prabhupada, it was a cold day, and I think they were in Seattle, and Govinda Dasi was on the team at that point. She told me this story. I don't think you'll find the story in any books either, but so listen closely. Prabhupada told Hanuman, who was his servant, he said, I would like to have some hot halwa, because when it's cold, that's very helpful, right? So Hanuman was not really sure. You know, it said about men in the kitchen, they have two left hands. So Hanuman was not sure how to make it, but he was very eager to try. So he made a nice pot of halwa, But he didn't use suji. What did he use instead of suji? Not atta either, I'm sorry to say, and not even badam. What did he use? Not besan either. Not powdered milk either, that would be bad. Huh? Not rice powder either. What do you call that in Tamil? Anybody know this? Kali. They make it for Skanda, Murugan. Once a year only, Murugan gets to eat this. It's like halwa, but they make it with rice flour. Yeah, no, he didn't do anything like this. He used wheat germ. Half of you don't even know what that is. It's not particularly tasty. It's like the kernel of the wheat sort of, it's not particularly nice. So he made a whole pot of this hollow out of this stuff. He brought it to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada took one bite, and then he said, "What is this?" Get out of here. And I say, I wanted some halwa. What's this nonsense? So Hanuman, poor thing, he was so completely, he was thinking of this verse, right? Yasya prasadam nagati kutopi. He said, oh my God, I've offended my spiritual master. My life is ruined now. How will I ever become Krishna conscious? For the rest of the afternoon, nobody saw him. But Prabhupada knows. Prabhupada was very conscious, very empathetic also. Prabhupada called Govinda Dasi. He rang the bell. And Govinda Dasi came, and Prabhupada said, where is Hanuman? She said, I don't know, Prabhupada. We haven't seen him. So Prabhupada said, you go find him right now. Bring him back here. I want to see him. So they went looking everywhere for Hanuman. Nobody could find him anyway. Finally, Govinda Dasi herself, she went to some park nearby, and she found that Hanuman is sitting there in the park like this. This is the classic pose described in Sanskrit when somebody is thoroughly, what is the word for it? Atishayakatara, thoroughly depressed. She came out to him and said, Prabhu, what are you doing? Prabhupada wants to see you, please come. And he's just shaking his head. He said, I've ruined my life. I'm a complete failure in Krishna consciousness. What will I do now? He said, I didn't forget it. Prabhupada is not, he wants to see you. Come now. So Hanuman finally came back. He paid his full dandavats to Srila Prabhupada. Practically speaking, he was in tears. He was so nervous. What's going to happen now? And Prabhupada told him, do you have any more of that halwa? I would. Jihan Prabhupada, he ran in the kitchen. He made a whole pot, and Prabhupada ate the entire pot. Yasya prasadan bhagavat prasado. Yasya prasadam nagati kutopi. Jayam stuvam tasya yashas trisandhyam. 3 times a day, therefore, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur says, you should remember the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. How can you forget the spiritual master when he acts like this? More than 3 times a day. We were talking about Shruta Kirti. I mentioned him already. That, you can ask Shruta Kirti to speak on any Bhagavatam verse you like, and for about 2 or 3 minutes, he'll do that. And then it goes, straight into Prabhupada. That's it. So he's already, he's far beyond this trisanjam. Jayam stuvam tasya yashas trisanjam. You should remember, meditate on, you should offer your prayers unto, you should glorify the spiritual master at least 3 times a day. That's why when we have the trisanjam, everybody chants the second initiated devotees. They're chanting Gayatri mantras, including those to the spiritual master. Kam se kam aisa karna chahiye. But the ideal is that we should always be thinking of the lotus feet of the spiritual master. Now, there's another verse, Palashruti, given here. It's not in the book, but he says, Srimad Gurur. Oh, is it here? Yeah, okay, you've got it. Srimad Gurur Ashtagam Etat Uchayar Brahme Muhurte Parhadi Prayatnat Yastena Vrindavananatha Sakshat Tevaiva Labhya Janusha Eva. Are we all here? So he says that if someone, Srimad Guru Ashtagameta chair, with a loud voice, recites these prayers every day, when?
Brahma.
Brahme muhurte patare prayatnat. If you take the trouble to do this early in the morning, Brahma muhurta, it's trouble, isn't it? But if you take that trouble, then what happens? You've lost it. Yastena vrindavananatha sakshat Tevaiva janoshonta eva. Then at the end of your life, you will directly join the direct seva of Sri Vrindavananatha, Lord Krishna, the Lord of Vrindavan. Yeah, finally, we got it. So this is the result and the benediction that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur sings, and he writes for our benefit. It's not just in ISKCON that we have this tradition of chanting these prayers at Mangalarati, which fulfills that condition that he's mentioned. I was very impressed when I first went to India. Every Gaudiya Math temple established by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they're doing the same thing. This is an old tradition going on. So this is the Gurvashtaka prayers. And Mangalarati, it's a very prominent part of Mangalarati. After this, we have Mangalarati Kirtan. And this is an important part of Srila Prabhupada's early morning program, which he arranged for ISKCON devotees to follow and thereby be inoculated against the material energy. Vaccination happens every morning at Mangalarati. You'll not catch the virus if you do this. Even at home, you can do this. I'm doing this at home also. If need be, you can take it up on your phone, because that's how we're all connected nowadays. Just as our phones are watching us, we can also watch Krishna, and we can, we can still make advancement even that way. I'm a little liberal about this. Prabhupada, I think he expected us to go to Mangalarati, he said so. But even if you can't do it for some reason, just come se kam aisa karna. So Mangalarati includes this Gurvashtakam prayers. Then we offer our obeisances unto all the devotees. We worship Tulasi Devi. We chant our japa. And then we have Guru Puja after greeting the deities. And Guru Puja is another thing that Prabhupada saw as very important for our Krishna consciousness. Why is that? Why is it that Prabhupada saw that we should sing this Guru Puja every day? Anybody have some idea about this?
Worship of Guru is the foundation of our devotional creeper too. And Srila Prabhupada is everyone's prominent spiritual master.
Yes. Yeah, we've already read it. Yasya prasada, bhagavat prasado. So it stands to reason. Now, this is something that is not done on a daily basis in every Gaudiya Math. This is another thing I noticed when I went to India first time. That Prabhupada he was very proactive about this. He wanted to establish this standard just so that we get it very clearly in our minds. Maybe it's because, I don't really know, but maybe it's because Prabhupada reasoned that in those days, in the 1960s and 70s, most of Srila Prabhupada's disciples were from Western backgrounds, Judeo-Christian backgrounds. And do they allow you to worship the spiritual master on an equal footing as God in the Christian tradition? No, they don't. And so it's possible that Prabhupada wanted to erase this socio-cultural or socio-religious conditioning. Very, very important point. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma Bandho Moi Savadhana Mate. So let's sing this. You can bring up the words.
Know the song. Everybody, okay.
Charana Padma Keval Bhakti Sadma Bandho Moi Savadhana Mate. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the abode of pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great care and attention. Jahara prasade bhai, e bhava toriya jai, Krishna prapti hoy jaha hoite. My dear brothers, it is through the grace of our spiritual master that we can cross over this ocean, this material existence, and attain Krishna. Guru Mukha Padma Vakka Chidete Koryaika Arona Kariham Asha Shri Guru Charane Rati E Uttama Gati Je Prasade Pure Sarva Asha. Make the teachings emanating from the lotus mouth of your spiritual master one with your heart, and do not desire anything else. Attachment to his lotus feet is the best way to make spiritual advancement. His mercy fulfills all desires for spiritual perfection. This is why Prabhupada asked us to sing this song every day so that we always remember this. Really, we don't have to do much in Krishna consciousness, but we have to hear from a bona fide guru, and we have to fix our minds on the instructions that we've heard from that spiritual master, and we should not be distracted or attracted or distorted by anything else. Aruna kori homani asha. Don't entertain any other aspiration. Guru Padma Bhakko Chitete Korya Aikya. It means, we have a double standard, all of us, isn't it? What we say and what we think and what we do are different things. Was it here that I said this?
Yes.
Yeah, so I get all the cities mixed up in my mind because every day I'm in a different place. So most of us have something that we're cherishing secretly within our hearts. We're very careful not to reveal that to anyone because it's dangerous in this world. Can't trust anybody, practically. It's well-known and experienced. So we have one thing that we profess externally and another thing that we're actually cultivating internally, and that should be erased, that distinction. At least with regard to the spiritual master, we have to, whatever he says, we should take it as our only mission in life. We were discussing this the other night. There was a devotee who's the caretaker of Radhanath Swami's childhood home in Chicago. And we visited there in 2017. And he asked me this question. Tell me, what is, in your experience, what's the distinction between ISKCON in 2017 and ISKCON, you know, some 40 years before when Prabhupada was here? So, you know, I told him frankly that ISKCON has so many assets now. We have so many qualified people now. We have worldwide prestige. We have so many devotees also. We've done so many things. And, you know, governments are appreciative and, you know, everyone. In the 1970s, we had nothing. Nobody knew anything. Nobody had a clue. There was no money. There was nothing except there was very strong faith in Srila Prabhupada's position and his instructions, such that some devotees, 3-4 devotees, were taking a train from Amritsar to Mumbai. Amritsar, say Mumbai tak. Anybody know this story? And Srila Prabhupada was sitting with his disciples, and one gentleman was there, and Prabhupada was speaking in Hindi, preaching to this man. Nobody in those days could understand Hindi, and so they didn't know at all what the conversation was about. So everyone was looking forward to this trip. Shortly after they left Amritsar, they were thinking we're going to have 2 full days of Prabhupada's association. Who knows what kind of nectar we're going to have. So Prabhupada was talking with this man, preaching, and suddenly Prabhupada turned to his disciple, I think it was Tejas, and told him, this man lives in the next town, so when the train stops there, you get down at the next stop with your luggage with this man and go open a temple in his city. What would you do? So I told him frankly that I don't see this kind of surrender nowadays. That, you know, another example, again, another train pastime, you might have heard this one. Palika and Yamuna Dasi. They were with Prabhupada on a train going somewhere, I don't remember where now. But Prabhupada, being Bengali, he wanted hot rice, just like the South Indians. I always joke about this. The Tamils, even if it's January in Antarctica, they will still eat their Thai salam. So Prabhupada wanted his hot rice, and he told these women that you bring me a pot of hot rice, that's what I want. Now, how are you going to do that on a train? The best thing you can hope for in those days, you get out at the station and there's a guy selling puri sabzi or something, right? Nowadays, we don't even look what they're selling. But so what did these 2 women do? They don't know the language. They have no standing with anyone anywhere. But they went to the kitchen and they saw these guys squatting on the floor of the kitchen cutting up sabzis. And they said, we want to make our spiritual master some rice. And they just looked at these women and said something incomprehensible to them. And they tried to advance into the kitchen, being Americans. And they said, no, you get out of here. You're not allowed in here. Get out. There's a big scene. So finally the TT came, and the women, he could understand some English. So they tried to explain that our spiritual master wants rice. And, you know, we just, you know, please just let us make some rice. In 20 minutes, we'll be out of here. Well, no problem. But please let us make rice, because Prabhupada wants rice. So the TT also tried to explain that this is, you know, we don't have that policy. I'm sorry, we don't offer this service to our to our passengers, and, you know, very, very sorry, but maybe you can find something on the platform, ityadi. So Yamuna Dasi said, no, that's not going to do. This is Srila Prabhupada wants rice. We have to give him this rice. We have to. Please cooperate. Still, the man was trying to get out of it. Finally, Yamuna Dasi, do you know what she said to him? She said, if you don't allow me to make a simple pot of rice and in 15 minutes I'll be out of your life forever, then I'm going to end my life by jumping off this train. And he thought maybe it was a wise idea to let them do what they wanted to do. So this is the kind of devotion that is required here when we sing Guru Mukha Padma Vakko Chite Te Kori Aik Arana Kori Homane Asha. क्योंकि श्री गुरु चरणे रति ऐशे उत्तम गति जय प्रसादे पूरे सर्व आशा. Anything you want in any world, it comes by blessings, and especially by the blessings of such a spiritual master as Srila Prabhupada. So this attitude has to be cultivated. It has to always be remembered. It has to be in the forefront of our consciousness all the time, every day. That's why Srila Prabhupada asked us to sing these words every day. How many of you, I'm not going to put any individual here on the spot, but I can ask any one of you, what did you read yesterday? Raise your hand if you read Prabhupada's books yesterday. Everybody's going like this. How can we sing these words honestly if we're not reading Srila Prabhupada's books every day? It means we're hypocrites, doesn't it? What happens when you're a hypocrite? Then you change the trajectory of your sampradaya. Prabhupada brought the same mood of surrender that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur surrendered to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his father. And Prabhupada surrendered to him. Are we surrendering? This we have to ask ourselves honestly. How you can say, Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chite Te Kori Aika Kori Hamani Asha, if you're not even reading his books. You have to read Prabhupada's books. You know why? Because Prabhupada said, one reason at least, Prabhupada said, without jnana, you cannot perform voluntary tapasya. What kind of tapasya do we perform in Krishna consciousness? We mentioned this the other night. You be more tolerant than a tree. Be more humble than a blade of grass. Give respect to everybody. Don't expect any recognition. What could be more austere and difficult, and what could be a greater penance than these four things? Prabhupada said this in a lecture. Somebody asked him, what kind of penances do you do in Krishna consciousness? This is Prabhupada's answer. We preach Krishna consciousness, because preaching Krishna consciousness means you have to be more humble than a blade of grass. You know what happened to, I think it was Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Giridhar Swami, and somebody else, Sridhar Swami, I think. They went to one very wealthy industrialist in Mumbai. They went to his office, and he said that, you know, they gave their whole line, and they told him what we're doing, and we're asking for a donation. He said, I will give you a donation, but you have to let me pour this limca over your head. And Tamal Krishna Goswami let this man do this, believe it or not. Either him or Giriraj Swami, I don't remember. That's more humble than a blade of grass. Would you do that? More tolerant than a tree, ready to respect even such a rascal and not expect any recognition in return. This is what we require in 2025. This is the difference maybe between those days and these days. Don't see that kind of surrender, but this is why Prabhupada asked us to sing these words. So, Chakhudan Diloje Janme Janme Prabhu Shei Dibhyan Hriday Prakashito means that the transcendental knowledge is awakened within our hearts when we appreciate that the person who has opened my eyes to this knowledge, I have to serve him for the rest of eternity, because this knowledge is what gives you eternity. Are you not a debtor? We're all attorneys. So Prabhupada even said one time, Chakudan diloje janme janme pidashe. Spiritual master is like the father. He gives us birth. Who is the mother? Vedas, Shastra. Yes. Dibya Gyan Hriday Prakashita. Not just official Gyan, not just academic Gyan, Dibya Gyan, realized spiritual knowledge. Prema Bhakti Jaha Haite, Avidya Vinasha Jate. Our ignorance is destroyed, Prema Bhakti is awakened. Vede Gai Jahara Charita. The Vedas, they're singing, they're glorifying the character of Srila Prabhupada and any such devotee who follows in his footsteps to the extent that we've been describing. If you give your life to Krishna this time and surrender just like Prabhupada did, just like his guru did, just like Gaurkishore Das Babaji did, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jagannath Das Babaji, Adi, down the line, then you can join. That's what it really means to be a member of this sampradaya. So, Sri Guru Karuna Sindhu, ocean. How far are we from the ocean here?
3 hours.
3 hours. But you've all seen oceans before. Some of you maybe are from Mumbai or Chennai, you've seen. Ocean, we talk about ocean so much in Krishna consciousness, isn't it? What are some of the things we hear about the ocean? 20 minutes ago, we were discussing the ocean, right? What kind of ocean? Kalyana Gunarnava, the transcendental ocean that is Krishna. And what other kind of ocean? Bhavasagara, the ocean of material existence formulated out of all of our tears. We're drowning in that ocean, and Indians don't swim. So, what are you going to do if you're in the middle of the ocean? You're hopeless. It's gone. So similarly, this spiritual master, Karuna Sindhu, he's like an ocean. We mentioned already, Apara Karuna Sindhu, Bhagavan Bhakta Tatpara. And the spiritual master, he's representing Krishna transparently, transparent via media. What does that mean? Transparent via media. What does it mean? No, he's just completely representing what Krishna wants only and exclusively. Not adding, not subtracting, anything. Prabhupada said, whatever I got from my spiritual master, that I've given to you. Not added anything to it, not subtracted anything, not tweaked anything, not changed anything. Same thing. This is the ideal. So, just as Krishna is the Kalyana Gunarnava, so the spiritual master is Karuna Sindhu, and Adhamajnarabandhu. That would be all of us, Adhamajans. We're the most abominable persons. I can't even repeat the things that Prabhupada said. About whom? And our eyes. Yes.
What did you say?
I cannot repeat some of the things that Prabhupada said about non-resident Indians. Adhamajanara Bantu. Because only one non-resident Indian came here to give Krishna consciousness. Right? Raise your hand if you came here for that purpose exclusively. Yeah, we know. And I didn't take birth for that purpose also. That's not why one takes birth in Hollywood. So, Lokanath Lokera Jivan. He is the very life of the people of this world for this reason. He's given his life to us. When we were all sleeping, or if we were not born yet, when our parents were sleeping, Srila Prabhupada stayed up all night writing these books that we don't read. So the attitude of gratitude has to be cultivated, at least to this extent and for this reason. Ha ha Prabhu Korodoya, Deho Mare Padachaya, Ebejash Kushuk Tribhuvan. This, I always think of Shrutakirti Prabhu again, because everywhere he goes, he's glorifying Prabhupada's character. What the Narottam Das Thakur is saying here, my dear Lord, spiritual master, please be merciful unto us, give us the shade of your lotus feet, and we will spread your glories all over the three worlds. Such a beautiful song by Narottam Das Thakur. The entire purport of the Vedic literatures is encapsulated in this song. Anybody know the last verse of Shvetashvatara Upanishad? It's a famous one. And it's about the spiritual master. Yes, Yasya Devi Para. It is the last verse of the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Means it's the concluding, it is the Siddhanta of that Upanishad. If you give your life to the spiritual, bona fide spiritual master, automatically you understand everything. So that's why Narottam Das Thakur wrote this song. And that's why Prabhupada asked us to sing this song every day. We should sing this song every day. Even if you don't attend the temple, at least you can hear it online. Better yet, you sing also yourself. Otherwise, how are you going to cultivate this mentality that he's encouraging here? We have to stay connected in this way. Disciple means discipline. If you don't follow the instructions that the spiritual master gives, then how you can claim to be a disciple? Have to do these things. So these are a few thoughts about this. I don't know how long we're supposed to go on tonight. People work tomorrow, so I'm sensitive to that. Maybe we'll stop here. But if anybody has any comments or any questions, we can maybe try to discuss. Purva is here. Prabhuji, he's a font of all Vedic wisdom. He can share his realizations of half a century of practicing Krishna consciousness faithfully, he and his wife. Is she here? Great stalwart book distributor, local saint. You have to take advantage while you can, my friends. You think this opportunity will last forever? Think about it. Either one of us will be taken out or you will be taken out. But definitely all of us will be taken out in just a matter of time. In the long run, we're all dead. Who said that? John Maynard Keynes. Talk about market and long-term market analysis, right? In the long run, we're all dead. That was his conclusion. It reminds me of one of my godbrothers in Vrindavan. It shows you the distinction between the Wall Street mentality and the Vrindavan mentality. One of my godbrothers went to Vrindavan to buy a fan for his ashram. Usha fan. So there were two types. One has a 5-year guarantee and one has a 7-year guarantee. So he decided that I'll take the 7-year wala. And the shopkeeper said, I am sorry, but we're out of that particular one. So my godbrother said, well, maybe, look, I'm coming back to Vrindavan next week. His ashram was in Radhakund. So I'm coming back to Vrindavan next week. Maybe if you order it from Mathura, I can just pick it up next week. You know what the shopkeeper said to him? Yeah, Are, you don't even know if you have 5 or 7 minutes left. What are you worried about 5 or 7 years? Vrindavan mentality. So, nobody gets out of here alive. And that means every one of us is going to die. How are you going to deal with your own personal cataclysm? When all the synapses start misfiring, or maybe you can just be killed at once. Ek goli se sab samapt hui. So, this is death, and it's real, and it happens every day, but it always happens to somebody else, not us, until it does. Then you got to deal with it. Are you ready? So sing these songs every day. That's beginning. It's just the beginning, but it's absolutely foundational. Adhara. So, yeah. All right, anybody want to add anything or any questions or any comments?
What is chati? Chati, C-H-A-T-E. You mentioned the
I
word,
can say that the provider of the chutney part.
I guess.
Oh, chutney.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You're going to turn, this is Vrindavan slang. If you don't stop this, we're going to turn you into chutney.
Thank you for this very inspiring lecture to really wake us up to our foundational, kirtans, what they mean, how to implement them in our lives, and the importance of chanting every day these prayers.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference.
It's another thing that we have to always chant every day. I'll wait until everyone's paying attention. Part of the morning program, these are just foundational, you said, and important, indispensable, because these are the things that Prabhupada specifically designed for ISKCON devotees to do every single day. You don't do these things, you don't become Krishna conscious. Practically speaking, we see it also. But in addition to these prayers that we've sung, these 2 or 3 songs, there's another sometimes overlooked part of our morning program that is absolutely essential, indispensable. It's another thing that we recite every morning. Okay, I can't argue with Shikshastika, that's true, but it's not what I'm thinking of. 10 offenses. There's only 4 verses. If you can memorize 8 verses, you can memorize 4 verses, right? Satam, Ninda, what is that? Satam, Namda? That's the first offense, to blaspheme devotees or to criticize devotees. People who've dedicated their lives, as we said, who've given themselves. It's not an easy thing to give your life to someone. Just for that alone, we should show respect. Maybe the person has some flaws. We're all immature. We're in the shower. It's understood that if you're in the shower, it's because you need to be cleaned. There's no point in discouraging someone who's trying to clean himself or herself. So that's the first thing, and it's intolerable to the Lord. You know the second?
Shivasya Shri Vishnu
Shivasya Shri Vishnurya Ihaguna Namadi Sakalam Dhya Bhinnam Pashyet Sakhalu Hani Nama Hitakaraha. You should not think that the Devatas are either the same as Vishnu or that they're independent of Vishnu. These 2 things you have to watch out for. I'll say it again. They're not the same, they're not independent either. When we hear the word Dhya Bhinnam Pashyet, you should see that they're non-different. That's what it means. A non-difference is in exactly the same sense that the spiritual master is Sakshad Hari. He is different, but he's not different at the same time. This is a Chintya Bhedabhed. Devatas are not competing with Vishnu. Vishnu is not competing with Devatas. They're all on the same page. They're all working to the same goal, Dharma Samstapana. So we should not see that they're, Saraswati can do something for your test scores that Krishna cannot do. Every university in India, isn't it? The Saraswati Mandir, hona padega. So, we should not think like that. And at the same time, we should not think that Saraswati is absolutely, has nothing to do with God. Not true. These are all great devotees. They're all working on behalf of the Lord. But we have to understand one thing. Ekala Ishvara Krishna Arashal Prityo. This is how Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami sums it up. So the third offense is Gurur Avagnya. We cannot disobey the orders of the spiritual master. We've already explained that, because to dismiss the spiritual master's order is to dismiss Krishna's order. Ek se hain. Guru Avagya, Shruti Shastra Nindana. This is another one, popular here in the West especially. Shruti Shastra Nindanam. Either we blaspheme the Vedic literatures or we blaspheme the Smritis instead. But they're both. Just as the Devatas and Vishnu are on the same page, so the Shrutis and the Smritis are on the same page. And we should show due respect. Do not criticize them. The Tartavado, we should not think that the glorification of the holy name is just imagination or exaggeration. Tatharthabhada Hinamnya Kalpanam, and we should not make up our own interpretation about what the holy name is. What was Prabhupada's favorite example? Dr. Radha Krishna. What did he say? Bless his heart. Sarve Pali Radha Krishna. He said that Krishna means dark, dark means unknown, therefore the Krishna is the great void. Unknown, mystery. No, Krishna is Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when Vallabhacharya asked him to explain the holy name, what did he say? All I know is that Krishna is Shyam Sundar and Yashodanandan. Bus. So that we don't want to speculate. Harinamya Kalpanam. What is the next one? Dharma Vrata Tyaga Hutadi Sarva Shubha Kriya Samyam. We should not think that this planting trees and performing, samskars and weddings and, the giving in charity and all these things, these are good things, no harm, but they're not the same as chanting or chanting other mantras even. Because performing these other Vedic rituals, they have a specific result within temporal time. And they only give you that result. But chanting the holy name gives you the perfection of all sacrifices, and it lasts forever. It's very different. We should have this knowledge. That's why we should read Prabhupada's books. If we don't read Prabhupada's books, we don't understand these things, and we must commit these offenses. And then where are you going to get? Not very far. So, what else is there? Namno balad yasya hi pavabut here. And this is these are the rascals. I know that by chanting Hare Krishna, I can become freed from so much sinful reaction. So let me go to Las Vegas, break every rule, and come back and chant Hare Krishna. Very clever. There's a story about this. One man was a rascal. His entire life, he never did anything selfless. He never went to church. He never helped anybody. He never even helped himself. Just complete sinful rascal his entire life. But one day in a drunken stupor, he happened to wander past a church or a temple, and he put some money in the hundi. And then he wandered on and forgot about it until the time of death. And the Yamadajus, they were taking him away, and they brought him up to the kingdom of Yamadaj, or they took him to heaven. This is a Christian story. So he said, well, there was one day that I know that I've made some bad decisions, and, it's hard, right? Life is hard. So, but I that one day I did come into the temple, and I put that $5 there, and maybe you can just ask the Lord if you remember that and give me a break this time. Ebara karunakaro. And we all pray like this, isn't it? So, he said, okay, wait here. So they went inside, and the Vishnu Dutas or whoever was up there in heaven at the gates, he came back waving a $5 bill. He said, God says, take your $5 and go to hell. So, don't think that you can outsmart God like this, chanting on the strength and sitting on the strength of chanting the holy name. He's not so stupid as that. Even on Facebook, you don't have to accept somebody if you're not sure, right? So, come on. We know better than this. Namno balat yasahi pavavut here. Navidyate tasya yamayir hishuddhi. The person who's doing like this, there's nothing going to purify you. Such a devious mentality. Yamayir, he should. What does it mean? Yamayir is plural. It means, multiple Yamarajas cannot purify you, or multiple disciplines cannot purify you. You take your pick. Either way, it doesn't work if you're trying to cheat God like this. And then the last one is Ashruddhane vimukhe Trinity Ashchopadesha Shivanama Parathaha. You should not give instruction to a person who doesn't have faith in you. This is very similar to what Prabhupada writes in chapter 17, text 15 purport. Anybody know what I'm saying here? Prabhupada writes there, you should not be eager to instruct someone who is not your student. You have no business. Who are you? We're all conditioned souls. We're just as bewildered as the next guy. We should admit that. So, because if a person doesn't have faith and you try to force them, everybody knows how obnoxious that is, right? Members of Abrahamic faiths do this. Sometimes they even kill you. It's obnoxious. It doesn't serve anybody any purpose. It doesn't even benefit them. That is an offense. And then finally, Shrudvapi nama mahatme yat priti rahito naraha. If after hearing all these things about the holy name, and even after chanting for so many years, but we still haven't awakened love of Godhead, what are we doing here? And who do we think we're fooling? Yes, Shrudvapi nama mahatme yat priti rahito naraha. You remain bereft of this divine love. What is the last line? Aham mamadi padamo, and your foremost concern is me and mine? Because it has to be so if you're not a devotee. Aham mamadi padamo, namni sopya paradhakrita. Such a person is an offender. If we don't hear this every day, how in the world are we going to keep it in mind? And how in the world are we going to remember to look out for these things? We all have these tendencies. That's why Prabhupada gave us this morning program. That's why it's so important for us to follow it. If you cannot physically do so, at least virtually do so. It's never been easier than it is now. You just have to push a button. There's one family I saw in Los Angeles, a retired couple. They have this big flat screen like this in the house, you know. And but they programmed it in such a way that it just automatically broadcasts one morning program from one time zone to another, all the way around the world 24/7. Buddhiman Karagoj. So this is the idea. On the other hand, I was in Tiruchendur, a holy place associated with Lord Skanda, the son of Lord Shiva. And we went to visit one person who lives in the Agraharam there. This lady, old lady now, she's older now. She also has a flat screen there, but Gopal was in the closet. They have the deity stuck in the closet. The flat screen is front and center. This is called Aham Mamadi Padamo. So this is not the idea. All right, so these 10 offenses also we have to hear about. This morning program is very important. If you cannot follow it physically, then at least follow it virtually. You can do that in 2025. It's very easy. Do it while you can. How much longer will it be possible? Do you know? AI can do anything nowadays. Chinese Communist Party, which has practically colonized America now, they can also do anything anytime. You may not always have this opportunity. And you may be taken out, as we said. Or you may wake up blind. That happened to a devotee I know in Los Angeles. She woke up blind one morning. How would you do? You can't see anymore. Okay, too late for darshan. Sorry, you blew it. Take advantage while you can. Okay, we'll stop here. Unless there are any other burning questions. Oh yeah, right in the back. Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Yes. It is. Om Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Kyun nahi? Omkar is the impersonal representation of Pranava, is the impersonal representation of Krishna. Because Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Shapyate. Anybody know that verse? Raise your hand if you know that verse. Some people know. A lot of people don't know it. Bhagavan is understood in 3 ways. The best way to understand him is Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Next best is Paramatma, the localized form of supersoul. The lowest understanding is Brahma, Bhuta Gyan only. You recognize that there is a supreme spirit, but it's impersonal. So Om represents that impersonal aspect of Brahman. We don't get bliss from Brahman, from Brahma Bhuta. We get bliss from a relationship with Bhagavan. And this Hare Krishna mantra is meant to establish that, or I should say, re-establish that, because it's already there within our hearts, but it has to be awakened. So Hare Krishna mantra is recommended in Kali Santarana Upanishad for this reason specifically. We're so covered over by Kali Yuga, we've forgotten everything about our spiritual existence. We don't know who we are, we don't know where we came from, we don't even know where we're going, we don't even know what we want half the time. But Hare Krishna Maha Mantra purifies us of all these misconceptions, all these illusions and bad habits and offenses and everything that stops us from achieving our own real self-interest. So we should chant this Hare Krishna mantra. Omkar is okay, but it's not going to give you prema. Prema comes through this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Is that okay? But they're both there. They're both valid. It's fine if you insist, but it's not wise. Yeah, all right. So I think we have to stop now.
I just wanted to ask, first of all, very grateful for this beautiful package instructions and just it's hard to describe how grateful I am for this opportunity. What I wanted to just ask, and I'm maybe being a little greedy here, but essentially you said in the beginning that there was a specific type of kirtan Srila Prabhupada and singing that's not so common.
Yeah, that is traditional Gaudiya Vaishnava Kirtan is called Padavali Kirtan. It was revealed sometime after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance by Narottam Das Thakur. Revealed means it wasn't necessarily invented at that time, but prakat hua. Everything in Krishna consciousness is either prakata or aprakata, right? So, the Vedas, sometimes they're aprakata, sometimes they're prakata. Hare Krishna Kirtan is, Mahaprabhu Kirtan is also like that. It's an eternal reality, but it was revealed to us by Narottam Das Thakur as part of the unfolding Leela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that Kirtan is spreading all over. It is what Prabhupada came, it is what Prabhupada sang. If you listen to his recordings, they sound very different than the way that we sing, don't they? Because he's singing traditional Kirtan. Hardly anybody sings anymore. That's a personal choice. But why not? Is that okay? No. Okay, we'll stop now. Hare Krishna, all glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Such a beautiful session on glorification of Guru, both Guru Ashtakam and the Guru Puja Bhajan, and so nicely explained. And I feel like so inspired that every day morning, go deeper in the meaning of these bhajans. So it was very, very inspiring and very wonderful. So we'd like to thank you, Prabhuji, for coming us and inspiring us and encouraging us to do the full morning program. Let's give a big Hari Bol to His Grace Mukunda Datta Prabhu. Hari Bol. Grace Mukunda Datta Prabhu ki. Thank you.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
So thank you so much, Prabhuji. Every year after around Sarsanga time, Prabhuji visits us and blesses us with his association. We're very grateful and we request you please continue coming and inspiring us in our Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for joining us. And we'd like to thank our host for hosting on a weekday.
Oh.
Oh, Mati there. Sunil Prabhu and Mary Priya Vijay Mati. Thank you so much. Let's get big Hari Bol. And thank you to all the devotees who helped with the prasadam. Hari Bol. Thank you all so much for coming. And Prabhuji actually leaves tomorrow morning. So offer our obeisances and seek his blessings so we can, whatever we heard, we can actually bring it to our spiritual life and every day go deep in our morning program. So let's offer our obeisances to him. Seek his blessings.
Thank Prabhupada. He established everything. I'm just reminding you.
We'd like to sing Mahaprasad.
Okay. Oh. Sharira vidya Indriya Sahika. Sharira Vishaya Sham Yati Bhagwan Samadhi Amrita Radha Krishna Kamanaga I'm doing it. I'm not doing it. I know.